Hi guys, hope everybody's doing great today. I'm good, thanks for asking. Nobody asked, but I'm sure you guys would if you were here. Today I wanted to talk about a couple epics that I really like, and I wanted to do it sort of comparison style because they have a very similar signature ability and they perform similar functions in your team. So those two champions are... Drum roll, please. I'm just kidding. We don't need a drum roll. You guys saw the title. You saw the thumbnail. You know that it's Dhukk the Pierce and Stag Knight. Got them both right here. They're both epics, so that's great. And the signature ability being the A2 for both of them, which is that AoE placement of decrease defense and decrease attack. So there is a small difference on this ability alone. So Stag Knight is just attacks all enemies, place decrease defense, decrease attack. And Dhukk's is a teeny tiny bit different. His has the additional qualification that if you want to place the decreased defense, you need to crit. So I do have him built with 100% crit rate. That is necessary if you want to guarantee that you're placing both. And then to talk a little bit about the rest of their kits, they're both double hitters on the A1. Dhukk has the Mad Chopper. So he's attacking twice. He might place decrease attack. I'm sorry, not attack. He might place decrease accuracy. I've really been struggling with the word accuracy a lot lately in my videos. I keep saying attack-curacy, which sounds like a really cool buff that they should definitely add to this game, but at the moment, attack-curacy doesn't exist, so we'll just apply decreased accuracy for now. And then Dhukk also he's got a little provoke here. So he's going to place a guaranteed provoke for one turn on whoever he targets, and he has a 75% chance to maybe provoke an additional 2 enemies. So he's got that little kind of addition there. Aura is increased defense in faction wars. Then coming back over to Mr. Stag Knight, we talked about the A2, and he's also got the double hit A1, 30% chance to place decreased speed for 2 turns. He does not have a third ability like Dhukk, but he does have his passive. He'll place increased accuracy, not attack-curacy, I did it right that time, on an ally for 1 turn each time the ally has a debuff resisted. So that's kind of cool. You get a guaranteed decrease accuracy placement. And before I go any further, I should have said at the beginning, but I'll say now. First of all, I think these are both like super good champs. If you maybe cut out all of the Void epics, I think they're probably both like top 10 epics in the game. The reason I'm cutting out all the Void epics is because they've just added a lot of good Void epics like in the past year. You know, you've got like Nia and Akemptum and very good epics that, you know, weren't around like when I was new. So, yeah, so I would say if you're not talking about non-Void champions, who are obviously, you know, Void is always in that completely different class. They're supposed to be better than the average champion. These are like top 10 epics if you've already leveled or if you're considering leveling either one of them. You can't go wrong. They're both awesome. And so I guess I just want to talk about my experiences using both champs on my account and my conclusion that I've come to about who is better. So Dhukk the Pierce, I had him before I had Stag Knight. So I leveled him. No regrets, you know, geared him. And I also think, even in the early game, I think the 100% crit rate that's required here is not terrible, because in early game content, there's definitely no shame in just slapping like the crit rate gloves on him and boosting it in that way. Or, you know, even if you can't get to 100%, you're still going to apply this debuff a lot of the time if you can get that crit kind of up there. And the thing that I found a bit amazing about this champion is that because he has that provoke, he actually has a little bit of control, which is so rare in the early game, and not even just in the early game, like at all. That's still rare. So I could come into, like, you know, say I'm in Doom Tower normal, and I just come into here on the first row. Oh, look, you can see I was experimenting with this earlier. So here's just my sort of like makeshift imagining of what, you know, your early game team might look like. You might have like the Deacon from the promo code. You've got Kaylee, you've got Bellower. Here's our boy, Dhukk the Pierce. Maybe you have like some supportage, Mausoleum Mage. I'm also a huge fan of like Ox Remember, Rector, you know, some kind of epic support here, hopefully. Or maybe even a rare, maybe like Apothecary. Yeah, let's do Apothecary. Although I guess mine's a level 50, I think. Yeah, so your team might look something like that. So you're going to come in. Let's take it off auto. We've got Deacon applying that. And then just the fact that you can do this. And you can just provoke. You know, I'm controlling like half of them. Like just the... And, you know, so now I'm protecting like my Kale, my Bellower. Just the fact that you could do this for the first time was amazing to me, because in the early game, a lot of the time you don't have that kind of control. You just end up tanking these waves, your damage dealers die, and it sucks, you know? So that was huge for me. You can go with Dhukk into, you know, like normal Hydra. You could actually provoke the Head of Decay in addition to applying decreased defense, decrease attack on all the heads. And with Stag Knight, you can't do that. You know, you don't have a third ability. You're not bringing anything else like control wise. You do have your passive, of course, but as far as controlling a room, controlling a wave, it's just not there. And I mean, even today, if you were like, okay, K-pop, you need to control a room full of enemies. Like, I mean, I think the only one I have is Ragesh will come in with the full room stun. And other than that, this is still, that kind of control is still something that's very hard to find and implement on your account. So I think he's an amazing champion. He carried me through so much of the early game. It's decreased attack, so he's coming into like every boss fight with you, applying decreased attack, making sure that Dragon, you know, Dragon 10, Dragon 20 isn't one-shotting your entire team with that secret attack. He's provoking the waves for you. He's just he's a really good champ. I loved him. But then I come down to my boy, Mr. Stag Knight, or up, I guess he was up here. And he's got his increased accuracy passive, which I think the potential of this isn't realized until the late game. Like I think I had Stag leveled on my account for several months before I was actually using him anywhere except Faction Wars, because, you know, with that utility, Dhukk was just a better champion for me at the time. But the thing is that Stag has become a lot more relevant for me in the late game, actually, which is crazy, because if you look at like Dhukk, his A1, it's a single target in decrease accuracy. So like, there's nowhere in the game where I'm like, wow, you know what I really need here is a single target decrease accuracy. It's just not a thing yet. Could happen. Could be big, you know, buff coming for Dhukk if they add something like that. But then you come to Stag Knight, he has decreased speed double hit on the A1, and there is a boss that I do badly want to apply single target decrease speed to, and it's called the Iron Twins. So he's in my team, best time 1:25. There he is, Stag Knight, and he's applying the decreased speed. That's all he's doing for me. They just happen to add a boss where his A1 is exactly what I'm looking for. And so for me, it was just a massive value surge in the end game on my account. So awesome champ for that. And I also use, it's the wrong Doom Tower rotation, but I also use him in the Frost Spider fight, boosting accuracy of the whole team. You know, when they get resisted, because you do need like some crazy amount of accuracy to apply a debuff to that character, if she's not HP burned, so he's in that fight for me. So the increased accuracy just gets like a big value surge in the late game, whereas I don't think it's super necessary in the early game. I do think it could help you, you know, because if you come in with your Kale to like Dragon 20 and your Kale doesn't have enough accuracy to apply his poisons, you know, Stag can give him the boost. So I don't think it's completely useless or anything, but I think the value surge is there in the late game where he's taking someone with like 600 accuracy and now they have like 900 accuracy. So because that's like my Geomancer, right, for that Frostbiter fight that I was talking about. So it's a huge value surge. You know, like 100 to 150 accuracy versus like 600 to 900. And you can see also, because Stag, he can constantly buff himself with his passive as well. I'm using him in endgame content and I only built 385 accuracy on him. He's just giving himself, you know, like an extra almost 200, so he becomes really relevant with his passive, and he's an awesome champ for that. And then, as sad as it is to say, and I'm sorry to disappoint if you guys were on the Dhukk the Pierce side, I'm really not using him anywhere right now. Yeah, I'm sad to report because, yeah, he has fallen off. You know, I've got better people at controlling. I've got a lot of champs who do decrease defense, decrease attack. I use Madame Saris a lot. So while I do think Dhukk is like a super amazing early game progression trip, he has fallen off for me, and I'm sad to say he's not really in any of my teams currently. If I was just doing something where I really just needed to slap somebody in there who does this, I would probably pick Dhukk over Stag Knight. But yeah, as far as using in the late game, it does all go over to the staggiest of knights. But like I said, if you have built or you're looking to build either of these champions, you really can't go wrong. Don't feel bad if you don't have one or the other. Stag Knight, probably if you added up the total battles that Stag Knight versus Dhukk the Pierced was in for me on my account, it's probably heavily in favor of Dhukk the Pierced. So I do think this is like a god status epic, especially in the early game. But unfortunately, because they added that Iron Twins and like suddenly Stag Knight is crazy relevant again, you know, I've got to give it to the boy Stag. So those are two epics that I really like, and I hope you guys get some use out of them on your accounts too. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day and take care of yourselves.